Can that be right? Has it really been almost 3 years since we filmed whole room water cooling where we upgraded all our editing workstations? That means we've been using the same base editing workstations for almost 3 years. I mean, they've served us well, 6-core Extreme Editions, 32 gigs RAM, Titan graphics cards, all that good stuff, but come on, baby, it's 2017. It's time for an upgrade. So we're gonna be moving to the latest 10-core Extreme Editions and perhaps even more importantly, RGB. And to help me, I've enlisted a very special guest, my favorite Soviet Canadian, Ivan, who is gonna be helping me perform these upgrades in place with the goal being to hot swap everybody's editing workstations so we lose almost no productivity. Will it work? Probably not. So if we miss any uploads, you'll know what happened. But darn it, we're gonna do our best. Let's go. So this is the part where he finds out why he was brought in today. It's a build-off. Do you have a screwdriver? What is that?
It's a custom-made one.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Why did I even ask? Wow, it's really smooth. Looks like it has all kinds of uses. Wow, I'm sorry I touched it. All right, you only get half of the table. Don't touch my side.
Yell at me.
Don't touch my side.
Don't yell at me, we're not in a relationship.
So in terms of motherboard, the choice was actually pretty straightforward. We were looking for something based on ASUS's X99 platform, 8 sticks of RAM support, we needed lots of PCI Express slots, and we wanted rock solid stability. So that's why we went with this board versus the more advanced one. Oh, right, and it has an RGB header, the most important feature. In terms of processor, well, as you probably noticed, this video was brought to you by Intel. So if you get to choose whatever processor you want in Intel's lineup, come on, you go with the 6950X. So not only are we getting faster individual cores compared to our existing 4960Xs, we are actually getting 4 more processing cores. So that means more multitasking, that means better performance as we've measured before in the past. So if you wanted, you could actually check out a video that we did a little while ago on the best possible hardware setup for video encoding. We get more performance there and we get better multitasking.
Chill out, man, I'm the one who should be Russian. Huh?
Yeah, you never worked in the office back with us. You never wanted to. Oh! What did I hit? Okay, so what I could do is figure out the orientation myself, but thanks to the side-by-side format of this build-off and the respect that I have for my competitor, I'm just gonna jump right in and do it the same way he did it. See, he congratulates me for cheating. Isn't he wonderful? Hey, what's all this stuff in my pocket?
I know where he lives.
Oh, RGB.
Oh.
Oh, advantage Linus, because he didn't spell out all of the rules of engagement.
Well, you're already married. Get it? Get it.
So in terms of the power supply upgrade here, we're actually going from 750 watt, 80 plus gold power supplies that were semi-modular to Corsair's HXI 850 watt power supplies. One of the big advantages here is that the fan itself actually turns off when it's not under a heavy load, which means that these systems will be extremely quiet, at least acoustically. They're gonna be RGB, so they're gonna be their own flavor of loud. Did you put in all 4 screws on the radiator, or all 8, rather?
Yes, sir.
Oh man, why you do this?
Because he taught me that way. Ivan do not do half job, ever.
Oh, man. Oh, you know what? You may have made a mistake though. Your RGB fans will not be visible from the outside.
Then I might have made a mistake.
Dun, dun, dun.
Since this is the only thing that's going to be lighting up the inside of the case, I actually do stick with my decision, because then at least we'll have the inside of the case lit somehow, as opposed to only having it coming from the front fans, which are kind of further to the front.
Arbitrary rules are also arbitrary
Arbitrary.
rules. It's like, you can't install the motherboard until you install the AIO. You can't install the AIO until you install the fans. You can't install the fans until you install the... We gotta create that fake, like that fake cooking show tension. Where's the salt? See, this is what I love about modern cases that have the middle kind of nubbin thing going on there. So you can actually mount a motherboard and it'll stay in place well enough for you to put in the rest of the motherboard screws while you look for the motherboard screws. Where are my motherboard screws? Oh, thank you. Oh, shoot. Novice mistake, man. I got my I/O shield stuck on one of my ports, so I have to pull the board out. Fortunately, I've only put in one screw.
No washers on the radiator?
No, you don't need washers on the radiator.
Warps the metal if you don't.
Oh, come on, it's fine.
Now I have to flip my radiator orientation because I think my two hose will collide with the rear fan.
I always run into trouble with my hose colliding.
Holla!
That's okay, we've got lots of clean, terrible humor. We don't need the dirty, terrible humor.
Is that a SATA cable in your pocket? You're just happy to see me.
Well, if I was happy, I wouldn't be very happy. I mean, look at this thing.
Yeah.
It's even a little weenie one. Like weenie, like eeny weeny, but also
okay,
like
Ivan.
a penis. Okay, this is a trick that I use but never recommend, where you just kind of line it up on the pins and then you use a screwdriver to jam it on. If you slip, you hit your motherboard with a screwdriver. Yeah! The build-off's done. I won by 10 minutes, but given that he's never built in the case before, I'd say that's kind of within, you know, margin of error. So it's gonna come down to which build you guys ultimately think is better. Ivan took a different approach to the cabling at the back, a different approach to the cabling at the front, and opted to put the fans on the inside to illuminate the motherboard area rather than on the outside. And as for me, I have my 24-pin cable going up the cable management run. I have my, my drive cable really not looking as good back there. I don't think I did as good a job of these cables, but I've got my Thunderbolt 3 card installed, so bonus points for that. They're all supposed to have Thunderbolt 3 and 10 gig LAN. And I've got my fans visible from the top here so that I can have like dope animated lighting effects like that. Of course, we had to build 6 of these systems and Ivan did the other 4 and he figures this is what he calls the final form. So what did you do differently on this one?
Right, well, starting from the front, I took an extremely neat approach to the bottom part of the cabling. See how everything snakes around and is barely visible, except for this little rainbow piece over here. The other thing is that I actually found where to tuck away all of the extra cables. There's a cavity up here, here. So as you can see, the backside is very clean. And finally, I managed to stick all of the thicker cables behind this protective sheath and even cleaned up the bottom a little bit. Still not perfectly happy with the result, but...
That's the key, a clean backside. All right, so of course you guys aren't here just for that, but also performance. So we tested these systems a couple of different ways. First, with the RGB lighting mostly disabled, the RAM's still on, but all the fans off, so we could get a baseline for how much of an improvement we were looking at over our previous systems. And as you guys can see, it is pretty freaking huge. Whether we're talking CINEBENCH, whether we're talking Adobe Media Encoder, going from 6 to 10 cores and faster cores with upgraded graphics is a massive difference. And that's without RGB flare. So my system here was actually tested a little bit differently. We turned on the RGB lighting with some animations and overclocked the CPU to 4.2 gigahertz. One of which, we're not sure if it was the RGB or the overclock, allowed us to achieve simply mind-boggling performance. It actually feels like this is an upgrade over the 3-year-old systems in everything from video editing to heavy multitasking to even gaming. So when it comes to the red footage that we're working on, now that we can swap everybody's systems out, now we're looking at definite, real usability improvements over the old systems. Things like timeline scrubbing are gonna be much faster on these systems than they were on the old ones. And I think that pretty much wraps it up. Thank you guys for coming along on this wild and hopefully entertaining ride. Thank you to Intel, ASUS, and Corsair for hooking us up with what we think are pretty much the most BA editing workstations on the planet. And thanks to you guys for watching. See you next time. Oh yeah, and thanks to Ivan for being here.
And being productive.
And that too. So thanks for watching, guys. If you disliked this video, you know where that button is. But if you liked it, hit that like button, get subscribed, maybe consider checking out where to buy the stuff we featured at the links in the video description. Also down there, we have a link to our merch store where you can buy cool shirts like this one and our community forum, which you should totally join.